Alright, hi everyone. Let's continue with our data structures and algorithm series. In our previous video, we looked at a sorting algorithm that was bubble sort. And today we are going to see another sorting algorithm that is selection sort. Selection sort is a sorting algorithm that selects the smallest element from the unsorted part of your data. That's an important point. We have to select the smallest element from the unsorted part of the data and swap it with the first unsorted element, and we have to repeat this process until our data is fully sorted. Let's try to understand this with an example. As you can see, I'm already having an unsorted array of 5 elements: 30, 25, 12, 22 and 11. For representation, I'm already having graph here of the given elements with their respective indexes. Now, as per our definition, we need to select the smallest element from the unsorted part. Right now this whole array is unsorted, right? So let's assume the 0th index is the smallest element. What we will do, we will compare the 0th index with the first index that has value 25. If we compare, then we know 25 is smaller. So we can say 25 is now the new smallest element. Now we will compare 25 with the next element, that is 12, and after comparison we see 12 is smallest, so we will mark 12 as our smallest element. We have to repeat this process until we reach the end of our array, and you can see in the end we found 11 is the smallest element here. Now if we look at our definition, we have to swap it with the first unsorted element, and since this whole array is unsorted, the first unsorted element is 30. So we will swap the smallest element, which is 11, with the first unsorted element, that is 30. And after swapping, it will look something like this. 11 will come to the 0th index and 30 will move to the last index. Now remember, as per the definition, we need to select the smallest element from the unsorted part. And in this array, now 11 is the sorted part and rest of these elements are unsorted part. So from now, whatever operation we are going to perform, that will be done on this unsorted part. Now we have to repeat the same process again. Let's assume 25 is the smallest element of our unsorted part, and then compare it with the next element. And as we know 12 is smaller than 25, then 12 is our new smallest element of our unsorted part. We will repeat the step of comparison until we reach the end of our array. As 22 and 30 are greater than 12, then we don't need to change our smallest element. And after comparison, we need to do the swapping, right? Now since this part was the unsorted part, first unsorted element will be 25 here. So we will swap our smallest element, that is 12, with 25, and it will look something like this. Now 11 and 12 are the sorted parts of our array, and 25, 22 and 30 are the unsorted part. We will repeat the same process, and in the end we will get the result as a sorted array. Alright, now let's see how we can implement selection sort in JavaScript. For that, let's jump onto the code sandbox. Okay, let me close the preview tab for now. So as you remember our definition, we have to iterate over the array and find out the smallest element. For that, let's write a for loop here. Now as we need to find the smallest element, for that we will need a variable. Now with every iteration, we will assume the first element of our unsorted part is the smallest element. Now since we have to compare this smallest element with the other elements of our unsorted array, we will need another for loop. Now we will compare this smallest element with the next element in our unsorted part. Now if our assumed smallest element is greater than the next element, then we will mark the next element as our smallest. And after comparing this smallest element with the rest of the elements of our unsorted array, in the end we will simply swap it with the first unsorted element of our array. As per our definition, if you remember, in our first iteration we swapped 30 with 11, right, as you can see in this diagram. We will add a if condition here. If our first unsorted element is same as our smallest element or not, meaning let's say you already 11 at the beginning, right, and then after comparison you find out 11 is the smallest element in this unsorted array, then there is no need of swapping, right, because 11 is already placed at the first position of our unsorted array, so there is no need of swapping. Now if the first unsorted element is not same as our smallest element, only then we will do the swapping. For that I will need a temp variable. Also there is one more catch. Now let's say if we are starting with the first element, we don't want to compare 30 with 30, right? We want to compare 30 with 25. For that we should start our nested for loop with I plus 1, right? Alright, I think that's all what we need for the selection sort implementation. Let's also return the sorted array so that we can have an output when we are logging it into our console. Now let's uncomment this statement. Alright, as you can see, our unsorted array is now sorted. This is selection sort. And that's all for this one. Thanks for watching.